Changes with increased diversity, it's important that we remember our roots. We wish to acknowledge that we are visitors on the ceded territory of the Wolastoqey people, and in particular the city of St. John, which is part of this territory. We honor the Wolastoq people and their ancestors and thank them for sharing their home with us, for being here. The Human Development Council is pleased to join 3 other groups in the country. The Inland Refugee Society of BC, based in Vancouver, the Regina Immigrant Women's Centre in Regina, and across boundaries, an ethno-racial mental health clinic based in Toronto. These 4 communities, under the direction of the Institute of Research and Development on Inclusion and Society, will be undertaking a 3-year study of violence against women through the particular lens of 3 distinct populations: Indigenous women, women with intellectual disability and psychiatric disorders, and migrant and refugee women. Thank you very much.
It's really interesting to look at different perspectives, to see violence through a different lens, according to which of these groups of women that we're talking about. Violence against women is a huge issue. If we look at violence against women overall, through research, they have found that these 3 groups have a much higher incidence of violence. And because of backgrounds, history, language, all of those things, we need to find different ways of approaching how to deal with this issue.
Aboriginal women and girls in this country have been endangered since contact. So if you think that it's something that's just recent, it's not. It's happened since contact. In 1749, Governor Cornwallis authorized the scalping bounties on Mi'kmaq women, children and men right here on the East Coast. Why? To decimate the Indian population, period. And if you start with the women, you're not going to have any more Indians, are you? Eliminate the women and eliminate the problem. Maintained by the Indian Act, Indigenous people continue to live with poverty, housing shortage, poor water, etc. Women and children are often without status, regardless of Bill C-31's reinstatement of status for women. Scalping laws are still on the books in Nova Scotia. Foster care, death while incarcerated, and an overpopulation of incarceration among First Nations people, including women, is pretty normal in this country still. RCMP have released a report indicating that there is 1,181 women missing and or murdered in this country. The truth is, there are far more than that. And we need to include the numbers of women since contact who have been murdered, sold, forced to marry white men, who have died in residential schools, and killed by smallpox blankets. That is the real number. The truth is, women are dying in the streets from addiction, poverty, sex trade realities, foster care, lack of adequate housing, employment, mental health treatment, and from a justice system that does not meet their needs or honor them as human beings. So what can you do? Do you want to know? Be an ally. Continue to be an ally. Talk about it at your Rotary, your church group, your place of employment. Talk about it. Demand that Indigenous women be respected. Continue to invite Indigenous women to come and speak and share the discomfort. Continue to understand that risk factors for Indigenous women are greater than non-Indigenous women.
And to talk about the violence within the migrant community, I would like to take you through some slides just to show you, because actually the violence, sometimes it already happened before they arrived here. So it's part of their life, of their culture, it's something normal for them. Sometimes it actually starts when they are here. And that's depending on under which status they find themselves. Everything is new, everything is great, they want to learn it, they're happy, but then they have the depression. And that's where violence starts for women, for children, for little girls. Because violence doesn't have border. It doesn't have citizenship, it doesn't have a culture or a religion. Every violence is worldwide. However, for the migrant, why is it so unique? So for physical violence, most of the time, why I put partner and employers. Partner because of the culture sometimes, the background, also for the lack of education, and this violence, when we talk about physical violence, it's also towards little girls because of the gender. Because in some culture, it is the man and the girl, they are not at the same level. When I talk about employers, for example, I had a caregiver that was brought here in Canada, in St. John, and she lived through physical violence, not only from the employer himself or herself, but also from the children of the employer. But unfortunately, she couldn't speak up. She couldn't report. A lot of these cases are not reported for many reasons. Because of fear of deportation, or because they want to stay here to have their paper done. Then we have economic violence, which is again from partner, employer, community, and service providers. So economic, we have a language barrier. Then we have discrimination. So all these frustrations, when the leader of the family, the man who is meant to provide for his family, go through this, they bring this frustration home. And of course it creates situations of violence home for the women and children. Again, number. You know, we have a lot of things to change in infrastructures to help women and children. They are the first victim in all of the suffering that the immigrants they go through when they arrive here.
My name is Debbie Waycott. I am 45 years old. 14 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship with my ex-boyfriend, my first child's father. I suffer mental, emotional, and physical abuse. Sometimes the scar of mental and emotional abuse are more severe than physical. I wanted to have a better life for me and my son. CPS contacted me about my situation and told me I put my son in child endangerment with the abuse I went through. My son went into foster care system. I was allowed to visit and had contacts with him. Then I had a mental and stress breakdown. I took stress seizures and felt worthless. I didn't love myself. I felt like the whole world was against me. I started cutting myself and turned to drugs and prostitution. A support worker from mental health helped me get off the streets and into Ridgewood Addiction Center. 2 months later, I was cleaned up and had my own place. I took self-esteem and life skills courses such as Breaking Free and Power Up. Since then, I have taken courses at Family Plus, parenting courses through the Family Resource Center, and have New Brunswick Association for Community Living working with me and my family. I'm married to my husband Andrew. I have a 5-year-old little girl and 3 stepsons and a better life. The courses I have mentioned have made me be a better person. I know my rights more as a woman and a woman living with an intellectual disability. I know my voice and feelings matter and are valuable and respected by others. I like to help others in the community who have been in an abusive relationship like I have, and people who have disabilities. What I would see as supports in the community for women that had through abuse relationships are more safe, affordable housing, more women housing and shelters, Women have to feel safe to go to the shelters and feel safe in our community. 2, more courses in daytime hours, because at nighttime the buses stop early or don't have as many stops. Sometimes women have to walk home by themselves and feel timid and fear what they went through and don't feel safe to go to the course. 3, more one-on-one support, someone who has been a victim of abuse. I also think having more female community police officers to talk to these women that are victims in the community would be good. Thank you.
I just want to talk a little bit more generally about violence against women with an intellectual or other disability. I'm going to paint a little bit of a picture of what's going on, some of the causes of that and barriers, but also maybe talk about some possible solutions. And this might be a dependence based on physical need, need for support to do things in the home or to look after yourself. There's also physical and social isolation. Sometimes there's also a lack of knowledge and understanding with an intellectual disability. They sometimes don't recognize abusive behavior or may not even be aware of their basic rights. There's also issues of devaluation, and we know that women with a disability are at risk of being more devalued within our community and society. This often can lead to low self-esteem and even to feelings that they are responsible for the abuse and violence that they experience. So what are some possible solutions around addressing this? I think we first have to look at prevention as one of the main areas that we need to address. I think we need to invest heavily in provide increased access to violence prevention training for women with a disability that's in plain language, that's accessible, and what's involved in that. Increase understanding of basic human rights, enhance skills to communicate rights and needs. The right to say no. This isn't right, this is not something I want. Improving access to supports to develop and maintain strong personal network. Be the allies that we need to make a difference. So thank you very much.